Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another landscape photography vlog. Here we are at Letchworth State Park. It is September 30th, and it is 7:06 a.m. I got here probably around 7:30. Been here about a half hour, and reason I came out today, obviously, is forecasted fog. Fog forecasting lately has been very finicky, so I am delighted to see that it's not just gorge fog this morning, that it is it's more of a blanket fog around the entire area, especially in this patch of woodland here in the park that I've been wanting to shoot in these conditions for a long time. So that's where I'm starting today. It's very hard to turn down some of the other spots that I had planned, but as I was driving in, the conditions were just looking better and better, and all of a sudden, you got to make that plan B, that plan C even, or D, right, decision, and sometimes that's tough, especially with how indecisive I am, but I've already grabbed a few photos already that I think I really, really like, while it was still blue hour. Now we're into the golden hour. Sunrise should be in a couple minutes now, but yeah, it's absolutely magical out, and here's to what I think will be a fantastic day of photography. Just a quick experimental comp here of a grouping of 3 pines out over the reeds here. Got the polarizer on. In manual mode, overexposing a tad, just to bring out a little bit more luminosity in that fog. I mean, obviously you could probably do that in post, but why not just save some time. I think I might eliminate one of the pines on the left, or the right side, I should say. Not sure how much I like that now that I see it on the back of the camera. See a little bit of color in the clouds there. Oh yeah. Wow. Talk about being transported. One of the reasons why I love this spot so much is there are several large black walnut trees, kind of field grown almost. Especially this guy right here. And interesting fact about black walnut trees, shout out to my brother for this knowledge. They release a chemical in their root system. I forget the name of it. Probably throw it up on the screen if I remember to. But it basically prohibits growth in the surrounding area of other woody plants, like other trees. So they tend to get to dominate the entire area, which makes sense when you see how big and stately these guys get. Like this guy right here. The fog isn't crazy heavy, but it's enough. It is certainly enough for this guy. Trying to find the right composition is the hard part, though. say I am a bit overwhelmed right now. But I find that's always the case in these conditions. I mean, it really is an art to not run around like a chicken with its head cut off. Because it's so easy to do. And there's one little dead branch that's hanging from those branches that's kind of trolling my composition here. I might be able to just crop that out though. If you guys hear that little buzzing or that little rattling, those are red squirrels, and there are a ton of them. And I don't think they're either not very happy for me to be here right now, or I don't know, they're just being very chatty. Who knows? I remember the first time I heard a red squirrel call, I always thought it was a kingfisher at first because they sound very identical. They sound very identical. If you've heard both, you'll obviously know. But it sounds like a cartoon machine gun, or like a cartoon ray gun or something. Oh yeah. I mean, they're probably really enjoying all the black walnuts from the black walnut trees, which I remember the name of the chemical. It's called juglans. I could still be getting that wrong, but that is the name of the chemical that they produce to prohibit other plants from growing. Yeah, so I'm trying to get this one just right here. What I really like about this composition is that we have two really nice trees here that I can place on the left or the right third of this embankment in front of me, and then we have a nice sort of diagonal branch coming down from this black walnut here into the background, filling up that left third of the frame. And the leaves are already starting to turn a decent color. It's kind of speckled green and yellow, but I'll take it. Yeah, and standing on this side of this little patch here, two more large walnut trees. I think they work a little bit better on this side than the other side of the trail. It's kind of like a U shape here. I mean, I really wanted this guy over here. I really wanted this big gnarly looking dude over here set against the opening over here, but I don't think I'll be able to get a good enough vantage point without bushwhacking, which I really would rather not do. I could spend all day here, I'll tell you that much. Now, I have been through this general area before in these conditions, just not this particular section, if that makes any sense at all. It's just that my first time going through this section, I kind of missed this spot entirely, which is kind of funny looking back, because I think this area is probably the best, at least in terms of woodland opportunities. Now, I really like the way this guy looks over here, but it is hard to frame him without getting some unwanted things in there, things that are not croppable. Now, I have tried to get this guy down here a while ago. There's also the occasional leaf falling through the air right now, which is, I mean, it's just on par for the season, right? Keep hearing things falling from the trees, but I think it's just the squirrels. Yeah, I don't think that guy's gonna work over there either, which is all right. I mean, as it stands, I'm already very happy with a lot of the stuff that I got. I don't want to jinx myself by any means, and I also don't want to lure myself into a false sense of security. Can't let what you already got, affect your work ethic, I guess, if that makes any sense. I should be pulling out my trusty viewer and try to slow down a little bit, because I've definitely been going off the rails a little bit. I really just like everything that's going on over here, but I'm trying to go wide on it, so I'm trying to look around, the point of interest and see if there's anything else that's catching my eye that can kind of work as a standalone. It's really just that tree on the right there that's got that one sort of barren branch sticking out. I don't really love that sticking into the frame so much, but I mean, I don't want to say too foggy, because is there such a thing as too foggy? I mean, I guess technically there could be such a thing. I mean, I love the low contrast look right now, but a little detail never hurts, right? Yeah, the squirrels are going to town. I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video, but I have been trying to shoot in manual mode a little bit more. Only in conditions like this, because I feel like sometimes aperture priority, it does favor underexposing scenes with fog in them. I'm not really sure why, but the fog is starting to pick up a lot now. And I imagine that's because the sun has been up for about probably 20 minutes or so. Alright, before I exit this area, I've got to try and take a stab at this scene that I saw when I first walked in to this section. Now I'm going to try this first one just really wide. And this could probably be cropped to a 16:9. But afterwards I'm going to try to crop in a little bit. And I just feel like it doesn't work here, because this guy that's got this big long arcing branch out to the right, when I try to crop in to get rid of these two other small guys here, I can't crop those out by zooming in unless I get that tree trunk really close to the edge of the frame, which creates a little bit too much visual tension, if you catch my drift. I thought it was starting to rain there for a second. Alright, so now I'm trying to crop in on just the edge of the branch and that one large tree over there. I don't know how well you guys can see me pointing to it, but yeah, so just for time's sake, this branch here leading up to this guy, it's definitely a lot more simple of a composition, which I always forget that's something that I should try to aim for, is try to take on compositions that are as simple as possible and then kind of build on them from there. Alright, so quickly gonna stop the video here to interject with a little bit of post commentary to highlight a bad habit of mine. And there's already been, I think, 2 examples of this so far in the video, and I want to just really quickly go over them before we move forward, because I think there is a little bit of a lesson to be learned here. So, as you guys know, I routinely shoot with a 24 to 200 millimeter lens. I also have a 180 to 600. I've got a 24 to 70, which I haven't used that much lately because I'm always using that 24 to 200. It's such a Swiss Army knife lens, and I feel confident taking it into a wide range of situations just because of that nice bit of range that it has. Well, obviously that is the one upside to that lens, but I've noticed for myself personally, and this is one example right here, this scene that I've stopped on, is that I'm often biasing that telephoto option of that lens, 100 millimeter, 150 to 200 millimeter option, and kind of just not giving any thought to the wider portions. I'm always just going straight for, punching in on detail and not first stopping a little bit wider, stepping down a little bit more, and then a little bit more and a little bit more. And it leaves scenes like what you see on the screen on the table completely. This scene I was currently trying to photograph with my stills camera while recording this, but I punched in so far that I had cropped out probably more than half of this branch on the left. And I paused here because I was like, man, I really captured this composition the way I was imagining to, the way I really wanted to capture it with the video camera here. And I think that's just because this camera doesn't zoom in as far. It's more of a wide angle camera and it works great for vlogging, but it captured exactly what I was trying to get for the most part with my stills camera. But I feel like that mistake I constantly make where I bias too much that telephoto option. It just kind of butchered the scene and ultimately didn't end up working because, you know, having that branch lead in on the left side is really something that I liked and just cropped in too far. So I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say is don't always crop in so far right away before first evaluating those wider options. Also happened in this shot as well a few moments ago in the video. I did punch in on that nice black walnut tree by itself, but I feel like, you know, maybe I should have tried a wider version because I also like the way it looks here on camera as part of just B-roll that I was filming super wide. So just a couple of examples of things that I left on the table, which kind of sucks because this is a beautiful morning and I would have loved to have these scenes framed up wide instead of just constantly going straight to punching in at 200 millimeters. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. A little bit of a lesson to be learned there. You know, it's a mistake. It happens to everybody. Just, you know, maybe I could say it in this video to prevent you guys from making that mistakes from your next outing and whenever that may be. So just food for thought. Now let's go ahead and jump back into the video. But like I said, I was trying to get, you know, this guy over here with all these other guys, and I can't crop into those details again without getting rid of these guys and then this trunk too close to the edge of the frame. So I'm just punching in on a little bit of detail there, and I think it's working. Yeah, I mean, the more I look at it, I think the more I'm liking it. I am focusing on the branch and not the trunk in the background. Yeah, I think I like that. Fingers crossed. Might take a stab at those birches over there, and then we'll get out of here. Oh, this place is so great. It feels so good to finally have gotten the conditions I wanted for the spot. I just absolutely, I mean, I think this is definitely my favorite form of photography by far. Good old Woodland. Also, this is something I wanted to bring up in the last vlog that I filmed, which I, you know, while I'm filming this one, I don't think I've even edited it yet. Which should have been the vlog from Thunder Rocks, which I think as I'm filming this one, I don't even know. I've had a little doubt in that video whether or not I should even post it. I'm just taking a random comp right here. I don't know. Sometimes I just be taking random comps, you know. I actually attended my first ever art festival just about a couple weeks ago, actually. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, attended my first ever art festival. And I kind of wanted to make a video talking about that separately, not maybe in this video, but kind of talking about stuff that I learned along the way, especially from a photographer standpoint. I watched a lot of videos on this kind of thing and, you know, how to prepare, things to remember, but a lot of those people weren't photographers, and I feel like there were some kind of things that are like nuanced and specific for just photographers doing that kind of thing. Some funny stories and things like that. Man, this just looks so good over here. And it's funny, you can see how the fog like moves and shifts between each frame, even if it is just like a second difference between each frame. It is 8:20 and we are making our way down to lower. Also, you guys probably have noticed the drastic change in audio quality. I apologize for that. It will only be bad for these driving scenes because I don't have a way to hook up a mic to this GoPro. I mean, it's not a GoPro, it's a DJI Osmo Action. But everybody just calls it a GoPro because it looks like a GoPro. Same concept, action camera. But I came and got the branch reflection shot. Not really what I was hoping it'd be, but I think it's a good start. Looks like a bald eagle down there. Also, this particular shot that I'm doing right now might look familiar, like very, very familiar to a vlog I did here back in May. We started at Tea Table, we came down here. It was foggy up there. Come down here, not so much. Although I can see some fog kind of billowing up in that little section of gorge over there. It looks nice. It would look a lot better if the sun was not hidden behind some high cloud today. And that's why I kind of opted to stay where I was in the first part of the day, because I kind of knew if I came down here I'd maybe get similar conditions. So many gnats flying around. There's that big sycamore tree I found back in May. Still not going to work today. Just looking at it, I mean, not much is different, honestly, in terms of color. I mean, you can see some of the leaves are browned, but other than that, still mostly green. I may mess around with maybe a long exposure off in that direction, because I do kind of like this composition as a whole, but again, I feel like it would benefit greatly from some light. I think it would. I do, though, however, see some other promising things, like there is some foam in the water here. The water levels are low. One of my friends, he's an expert on this place and never fails to amaze me with his knowledge. But low water levels, keeping the rapids down, allowing for some of this foam to kind of congregate in certain areas, like on this little bank here, kind of a little cove. And I had a blast photographing that stuff a couple months ago, and I never shared, I think, any of the pictures that I got during that day either, because I was really happy with them and I wanted to keep them for a book project that I'm working on. I might share one in this video, I don't know. It was super fun. I did not have my 600 lens at the time, so I was stuck to 200 millimeters, which thankfully was enough, but definitely would have liked to go a bit farther. And I'm hoping, what I'm seeing here is a good indicator that I might get some of this foam down at the standard Lower Falls angle. So after spending a little bit of time down there on the banks of the Genesee River, I decided I'd be better off moving to the Lower Falls section of the park in order to revisit a composition I found on a visit here a few weeks back. And I also know that that spot is going to give me a much better chance at photographing some foam, so I was eager to make my way over there. That time of the day. Alright, so we have made it to lower, and there is quite a bit of foam, which I am absolutely stoked about. Got the 600 on with the new polarizer I just got, ready to go. If you're wondering the brand, it is Polar Pro. I did buy a case magnetic one, but had a little bit of, I guess we'll call it, user error when buying. Not only did this magnetic filter not come with an adapter ring, which, I mean, I probably could have found that out had I actually read the product description a bit better. And secondly, it did not fit into the magnetic adapter ring I had for my solar filter, which was for a 95 millimeter lens like this one. So you'd think that they would be compatible, but they weren't. I don't know. Very weird setup. Switch that back to autofocus. That right there looks to be max polarization. Sometimes the polarizer won't do anything. At least on the back of your camera, it doesn't look like it's doing anything. Whoops. Didn't mean to do that. So I try to point it at something, you know, that I know I'll see like a noticeable difference on. Like those trees over there. Polarizers are great at not only cutting reflections off of water, which I think everybody knows that, but also, I'm going to bump up the ISO here just a bit so I can get just a bit faster shutter speed to freeze some of this motion here. Yeah, right now it's just random patterns of foam with some leaves mixed in here and there. That's really all I'm kind of going for right now. Nothing super spectacular. Now, the time that I was here, I think it was around like early June, so like very late spring, tail end of spring. The foam here was much more intense, at least in variations of color. I mean, it's definitely a bit more reminiscent of what I saw last time on that far wall over there, but it's hard to get a good angle or get a good picture of it just because of that angle that I'm at right now. I was standing up over there last time, so I suppose when I'm making my way out, I could stop up there and get more of a direct angle at it instead of, you know, coming at it more of a shallow angle, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm tired. I did have a subject pulled out from one of my, I think my last visit here, which was in the evening, I think. And it was this lone tree up against this wall, well, set against this wall. And I was really hoping to get it just absolutely blasted with light. And the sun is like peeking out from the clouds. Just barely. But I think I'll get a better picture of this tree on the bridge because there is a pine behind it. Whereas if I'm standing over there, just the gorge wall is directly behind it, which I think looks a little bit better. I've also been very curious about is like what time in the morning is best for getting that lighting. I apologize if I'm giving anybody anxiety watching this. Imagine how I feel. Definitely one of the, there we go. Now I can see the polarization much better. It's also extremely slippery on the ground here. Just like damn near mudslide. Oh, it's getting better. It's getting better. Probably should have framed this up beforehand, huh? My tree, though, has lost a good chunk of its leaves. Which I was worried that might happen. Just because on my last visit to this particular tree, the top part of the crown of the tree, if you will, was already yellow. And as you would expect, now the crown of the tree is barren and the base of the tree of the leaves are yellowish gold. Let's switch over to manual focus. One thing I think I'm noticing about this polarizer is that it's got like a physical feedback. Whereas the more you turn it, the more you polarize, it gets a little harder to turn. So you actually kind of like know when you're at max polarization, which is like a lifesaver, especially on scenes like this. You know, where the focus peaking is on and can't really see a damn thing. So I just had a little surprise visit from a great blue heron who was sitting out stalking some fish on some of those exposed rocks at the base of the secondary falls part of Lower. I mean, there's like three parts. So basically there's like the main part, and then it steps down again, and then it steps down again, but it's smaller each step. He's in between the step closest to me and the middle step. I think I got some decent pictures of him. It's a pretty low light situation right now, so I had to go to like ISO 3200, especially with the polarizer on. I didn't feel like taking it off. I think it could potentially help the picture as well. I'm not sure I'll do anything with it, because even at 600, he still is pretty far away. It'll take a great deal of cropping to really make that usable. But now I'm just kind of getting sort of like the standard hero shot of Lower, which I don't really have too many pictures of. So I am kind of just messing around with it. Dragging the shutter just enough to get the water smooth. And I will cut some video for you guys to kind of see what I'm talking about here. There is one tiny little cliffhanger tree that just is getting in the way, and it's been like that for years. There's also like a little paper wasp nest that's hanging off of it, which is also kind of cool. I'm sure it's probably dormant this time of year, but still pretty neat. I'm sure a lot of people, myself included, are waiting for that tree to fall into the gorge so the view is a little bit better, because it is like growing almost sideways out of the rock face here. Yeah, so I'm still messing around with this composition over here. I just like had it at a point where the tree was illuminated and the wall to its left, but the wall behind it was not. And that's exactly what I had envisioned in my head, and kind of how to like make this shot like perfect. But I think I might have just missed my window trying to frame it up, because I wasn't, expecting it to pop like that. So I think I'm gonna wait and see if it happens again. I'm gonna set myself a timer. I'm gonna give myself 10 minutes. It's like an ultimatum for myself. I'm gonna give myself 10 minutes. Doesn't get the light it needs in 10 minutes, then I am going to move. So I'm on that upper vantage point I was mentioning earlier, shooting some foam, and a really nice dappled light scene just down the river there. And I had to wait and wait for that dappled light to come back, and I'm glad I did, because I think it could be one of my favorites from the trip so far. But now, I was struggling at first composing this foam, but now I feel like I'm hitting my stride here and finding some meaningful compositions And I don't know if it's just I got lucky or if I waited long enough, but that foam really started to group together down here in this little corner. And now it's starting to look like how it looked the last time I was here. The best way I could describe it would be if you look at a picture of Jupiter, and the colors and the patterns, the waves, the kind of bubbles, those kind of things, that's exactly what this reminds me of. And I am loving every second of it. It's all about patience though, because sometimes you'll find a really good pattern, whether it be an S shape or... I'm really working a lot with diagonals right now and kind of curving lines from bottom left to top right. And there's occasional moments where there's really nothing, and then there's moments where you get a good little band of something that you can actually compose. And I'm kind of in between one of those moments right now. I just had a really good grouping. I think I might have found one more here. I'm at f11. Aperture priority, ISO 800. Only reason I'm at ISO 800 is because I don't want there to really be any blur in this stuff. I'd like to keep it as still as I possibly can. So that's giving me a shutter of 1/400, and it's dappled light, and if I'm in manual mode, I'm going to have to keep changing the shutter speed over and over and over again. So I'm just sticking with aperture. And loving a lot of these, especially that one right there. Almost look like a badger, like the head of a badger. You guys have to see it. It's really cool. But I'm gonna finish with this, spend a bit more time here, and then eat my lunch because I am hungry. It's almost noon. I'm gonna go find a bathroom somewhere that is open and eat me lunch and take some notes. That's one thing I've been trying to do for the past couple months, is after each outing, sit down and just take some notes about the trip itself, the conditions, compositions that you know, knew about prior, did they work in those conditions, and then any new finds as well. That's the other thing I try to do. So like a page or two of journaling, and then we'll be out here. Also want to do a quick reminder here as we wrap up the video that my 2025 Scenes of Western New York calendars are available for sale. Feel free to email me at the email address down in the description if you would be interested in picking one up. $20 if I can hand deliver, or $25 if I need to ship. So again, if you're interested, feel free to hit my email up again down in the description, as well as my other social medias to see what I'm up to and the new photos that I'll be posting there on a regular basis. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.